The more you begin to investigate what we think we understand, where we came from, what we think we're doing, the more you begin to see we've been lied to. We've been lied to by every institution of education to set up your international banking cartels, because our masters don't give a damn about you or your family. All they care about is what they have always cared about, and that's controlling the whole damn world. We have been misled away from the true and divine presence in the universe that men have called God. I don't know what God is, but I know what He isn't. And unless and until you are prepared to look at the whole truth, wherever it may go, whoever it may lead to, if you want to look the other way, or if you want to play favorites, then somewhere along the line you're going to find out you're messing with divine justice.
So I moved out of Venezuela when I was 4, but my whole life I've lived in a very predominantly Hispanic and Black community. So I myself really never felt that I was a minority. I always felt that I was an equal part of the community because my community was Hispanic. I've also, just to share my perspective, my mother is a lighter skin complexion. She's white color. She's white. She's Venezuelan, but she's a white Venezuelan. I'm obviously a darker skin complexion. So when I was little, I remember thinking like, oh, that's weird. Why am I dark and you're white? But my mom I ingrained in me that my skin color was beautiful, and she always gave value to that. And my skin color never made me feel that I was inferior or that I was less beautiful than someone else that had a lighter skin tone, which is a very, very, very different upbringing than a lot of the Black community females have, that a lot of Black communities males have. It's an entirely different upbringing. So with that being said, when I did finally leave my small town of Kissimmee, Florida, and I went to college, I went to school in Tallahassee. I went to Florida State University, which is a very, very, very large white community. And that's truly when it hit me, and I really felt that, whoa, I am definitely underrepresented here. I am definitely the minority. It definitely hit me. As a freshman, it was really tough to kind of get over that fact. Feeling is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to feel underrepresented or to feel like you're the minority where you are. I can only imagine what that must feel like to someone that's felt that way their whole life. And now, throughout all the stuff that's coming out in social media and seeing all the just incredibly horrific things and acts of racism that I've seen videotaped, it's just really eye-opening. It really is, because I don't think you ever realize how grave an issue is until it's presented in front of you, until you see it yourself. And that's really where I wanted to share with all of you how important it is to look for other perspectives, to educate yourself, to go find other people that have had different walks of life, to have uncomfortable conversations with them, to ask them what their perspective is. Because I think without doing that, a lot of white Americans and a lot of Americans in general that are not the minority, that are not Black, are going to have a very tough time of understanding what this fight is about and why there are protests and why this movement must be listened to and must be supported. I've been seeing these questions out on social media that it's, whether the protests are right or are they wrong or are they justified in what they're doing. And it's like, well, it's fine, protest for civil rights and protest for equality, but you don't need to burn, you don't need to loot, you don't need to riot. This might be an unpopular opinion, but unfortunately in a war, there are always casualties. And this is a war that the Black community is fighting. This is a war that the minorities of this country are fighting because they have not been heard. They have been ignored for over 400 years. This is a fight that's been ongoing. So unfortunately, the riots, the looting, it's a casualty of war, the necessary evil. If I was a little kid in middle school and I every day went to school and I got bullied, and that bully every day would hit me, would tease me, would physically abuse me, and every single day I just put my head down and I took it. And every day I went back to school and that same bully hit me and tortured me and took my lunch money and abused me and said horrible things to me every single day. And then one day, after years of this bully following me around and picking on me and putting me down, I finally hit him back. So are you going to shame me for hitting that bully back and finally standing up to someone that's been oppressing me for years? Or are you going to condemn the bully? At the end of the day, there's no right way to protest something. There's no right way to combat something. That's a system that's been ongoing for 400 years. A system that's based on racism. There's no right way to protest that. And there's always going to be some casualties. Another question that I wanted to address is a lot of debate on whether the police are wrong and this is an overreaction. It's the same answer that I just, went over. And it's basically, how can you judge someone's reaction when they've been oppressed, living in fear, subject to abuse for so many years? At some point, something's got to give and someone's going to fight back. And this is what exactly is happening. This reaction was necessary to draw attention from the media, to draw attention from the world, and to open Americans' eyes as to what is going on and how race and racial inequality is a huge issue in our country. I wanted just to make this video to really say that it's so important to educate yourselves. It's important to look up videos, look up movies, look up documentaries, read literature, talk to other people that help you realize and open your perspective on things. And so hopefully you will feel more compassionate for those that have different walks of life and have lived differently than you. And that'll help you better understand the reaction that the Black community is having. Others say that I've heard people say is, yeah, well, my participation's not gonna help anything, right? Well, what am I gonna do? By remaining silent, you're further regressing and you're slowing down the cause. You don't have to walk in the protest. If you can't walk in the protest and you can't donate money to any of the bail funds that people need in the different states from people being arrested from just peacefully protesting, spread the word, talk to your family members that you've heard have racial remarks, address those remarks. Just read more, educate yourself, try to understand why this is happening. What's the problem in our nation? Why are these people rioting? Why are these people protesting? And just try to gain that perspective so you can feel the compassion and even see a glimmer as to what they're fighting for. I think this is something that everybody should be doing, not just the Black community, not just the minorities. Everyone in America, including the white people out there, should be helping the cause. I challenge you watching this to, if you have kids, look at what you're teaching your kids. Look at the words that you're using when you talk about someone of another race in front of them. Look at the conversations you're having with your friends about someone of another race. Look at how you treat your friends of another race. Just start talking about it. Start talking about these things that are uncomfortable, because they exist. Racial inequalities do exist. Racial biases exist. Implicit biases exist in our world. And we all live in this country, and everyone who lives here deserves to have an equal chance to succeed and to not live in fear and to feel a part of this nation. If you don't know about what systemic racism is, what implicit racism is, you don't believe racism is still a problem right now, Please, I'm gonna put some links down below of videos that I found really helpful. I'm gonna link some movies that I've recently watched that show our history about slavery and our government system and how race has played such a huge role in that. That hopefully it'll open your eyes as to what's going on and hopefully gain a little bit more compassion as to what the movement is. I'm also gonna link a couple of different ones that you can donate to. Do what you can do. So even if you start a conversation today about what's going on and you are spreading information about what's happening, you're doing something. But as long as we're all doing our part and trying to push this movement forward, it's a step in the right direction. And I'm sorry, but if you are an influencer, a real influencer with a platform, and you have the power to influence people and to spread information on what's going on, and you're choosing not to because it doesn't apply to you, or, oh, I don't care, you are the fucking problem. You are the reason that there continues to be ignorance in this world. I'm sorry, but if your response to what's going on in the world is, oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect me, you are the fucking problem. And it's sad to see that there are people that are choosing to ignore what's happening, that are not choosing to support the cause, because it truly saddens me that you get to live in this country, you get to take on the privilege without having to fight the fight. Hopefully you gained a little bit of another person's perspective by watching this. So thank you guys so much. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. I welcome any comments below, hopefully positive comments. I welcome conversation. I welcome questions if you have them. And I'd love to talk with you guys out there if you have different perspectives than me. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.